Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. When you sow the seeds of discontent, you must reap the harvest of ire. And this, of course, is especially true with farmers. The pun was intended. But Hamza Yousaf will have to meet with farmers because he has effectively stolen £46 million from them. This was money ring-fenced for them, and he has decided that no, rather than giving it to the people who need it and who it was especially given for, he'll keep it and spend it on whatever pet projects he likes, or maybe just to fill the black hole in the accounts that they have created. Nonetheless, the farmers are angry. They demand a meeting, they want him to attend, and they, in no uncertain terms, will tell them, or tell him, exactly what they think. It won't be good. But what can he do? He can't give it back, he hasn't got it. They need it. It's effectively the destruction of the countryside by a man who knows bugger all about farming, which is odd considering. Done a lot of it recently with Erdogan. And so he is going to be sitting there and taking it. Well, good. And I'd love to be in on that meeting, let me tell you. But let's have a look to see why he thinks it's acceptable to just steal money that's been earmarked for other people. Here goes. So Hamza Yousaf to face angry farmers after cutting 46 million of ring-fenced funding. Their money. He's had it. He's nicked it. He's spent it. Why would he do this? Why would he risk this? Because he knows. He knows he's overspent everywhere else because they're an incompetent bunch of tossers. And so he has to steal money from everyone else to pay for his failures. We should send him the bill. But yeah, don't piss about with farmers. Because I quite like eating, you know. I think eating is good. The First Minister is set to speak at the NFU Scotland conference in Glasgow next week, amid a backdrop of removing 46 million of funding from the industry. This is despite Shona Robertson promised to return it in her budget, but failing to do so, because Shona's promises are like pie crusts, aren't they? Made to be broken. She's got no intention of ever paying this money back. It's like you saying to your friend, "Oh, give me 20 quid, mate. Yeah, that's fine." And every time you ask for it back, you go, "Oh, I'll sort it out later. Oh, yeah, I said I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back, yeah." And you'll never see it again. And that's what's going to happen. 46 million up the Swanee because they can't run a country properly. And they have to keep spending money on bullshit like foreign embassies and spin doctors. Hamza Yousaf will be confronted by angry farmers next week as he faces call to return the £46 million of ring-fenced funding he removed from the agricultural budget. The First Minister is set to speak at the NFU Scotland conference in Glasgow next Friday with the backdrop of treachery. Treachery claims, rather. Because he is. He's treasonous, treacherous, two-faced, thieving, lying scumbag. And so is Shona Robertson, to be fair. They both are. They all are. What am I kidding myself? They're all like that, aren't they? Anyway, Deputy First Minister Shona Robertson promised the sector last year that 33 million of ring-fence money from the UK government would be returned in the 24-25 budget, and then she confirmed that a further 13 million of uncommitted spend would be cut and that the initial removal would not be rectified. So there you go. You've lost it. It's gone. You're never seeing it again. We're not talking down the back of the sofa here and you can reach down and get it. It's spent. He's had it. It's never coming back. Forget about it. The SNP Rural Affairs Secretary Mary Gougeon will also be in attendance, and she was called on to resign by farmers due to claims that she did not stick up for them during the budget discussions. The NFU's received a categorical, it's hard, you know, reading sometimes. The NFU Scotland received a categorical assurance from Miss Robertson about getting its cash back, but this was not lived up to. She is just a liar. Never ever believe anything she says. Firstly, she's probably forgot because there's only so much can go into her tiny little brain. And even if she did remember, she went, nah, screw them. They're only farmers. What are they going to do? Tell you what they're going to do. They're going to do what they've been doing in France and in Germany. They're going to get every tractor and they're going to drive their tractors through. Now remember, there's no point protesting in your own area. There's no point protesting on your own land. What you do is you go to where they live. Everyone needs to go to Dundee, find Hamza's house, and then drive their tractors up and down the road all night. peeping their horns and everything, keep it going, making sure he doesn't get a night's sleep, and do it. And then maybe, oh look, some cow shit's fallen off my lorry straight onto his car. Like that scene from Back to the Future, which boom, covered. Things like that. That's how you protest. That's how you get shit done. Use shit. Seriously. Anyway, ahead of the conference, the Scottish Tories have called on Mr Yousaf to stop treating the farming industry like scapegoats and give farmers the priority they deserve. I mean, you've got to expect, these guys know what they're doing. They're farmed usually by families going back many, many generations. They are true experts. They could indeed be said to be men outstanding in their field. However, he doesn't know anything about farming, and so he thinks, I'll just cut them out, it doesn't matter. Yes, it matters. It absolutely matters. Anyway, Scottish Conservative Rural Shadow Affairs Secretary Rachel Hamilton, MSP, said the SNP's silence on cuts to Scotland's agriculture funding has been deafening. But Humza Yousaf now has the chance to deliver money that his government promised to farmers at the conference next week. Now, here's the thing. They're destroying the farming industry. They're destroying the sort of the livestock and things like that. The shooting industry, you know, the games and things like that. Rural stuff. Everything rural. They want to absolutely destroy it so they can sell the land, presumably. Because they don't understand anything outside of their little bubble of Glasgow, the Central Belt, Edinburgh, and about, you know, honestly, once you get further north of about Falkirk, it is terra incognito. They know nothing. They certainly don't know where food comes from. They don't understand the processing of it. They don't know how to grow a lamb from a seed. You know, and I know that's how they must think. They must think you pick lamb chops off a tree or something. These people have no idea. None at all. Anyway, he said, I'm deeply concerned, she says, that this uncertainty is harming our farming industry, and it's facing under this Scottish government after Mary Gudgeon's announcement that just 25% of the funding would be returned. Farming is central to Scotland's domestic economy. Once you get out, farming is a huge employer. You know, once you get out the cities, once you go further north, once you leave the smoke and dirt behind, you know, you get out into rural Scotland. Farming is a huge, huge industry. The land is where people are employed. But these tossers sitting there in Holyrood don't understand that. Very few of them have ever seen a real animal. You know, dogs and cats and a goldfish, that's about it. They've never been up close and personal with a coo, have they? Let's face it. Do you know, just at that tangent time, just where I live on the Northamptonshire-Cambridgeshire border. Literally, like 100 yards, it's Cambridgeshire. And there's a farm up there, and the guy, he's got the big Aberdeen Angus cows. They are beautiful, aren't they? And these great big horns that come out like that, and that orangey red hair hangs down, and the biggest head you ever seen on an animal. Anyway, they sit by the fence. It's right by the pub. The Pheasant is the pub. And they sit by there, and then they're just chewing away. Blah, 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 blah. And then occasionally they'll put their head over and just look at people in the pub garden in the summer. And, people go up and pat them and that. Oh, they're lovely, you know. And delicious. The world is full of many beautiful and delicious animals. Anyway, next week, Humza Yousaf must stop using farmers as a scapegoat and instead honour the SNP's previous promise and guarantee the return of the vital funding, or risk Scotland's food security and the livelihood of our farmers and, of course, all the people that they employ. Otherwise, you go in and the land isn't managed. The land goes back to being wild, unusable. And then it will get sold off cheap to foreign investment companies. Everyone loses their job, and the poverty in the Highlands continues. It quite literally is the clearing of the glens, and it's happening by Scottish government this time. This isn't the English coming up and clearing the glens. This is the Scottish government doing it to the Scottish people. You need to fight and resist this. Banff and Buchan Conservative MP David Duguid added, our farmers, crofters, but not the humble ones, the real crofters, and agricultural workers are repeatedly let down by an SNP Green government that focuses on the Central Belt and does not understand the needs of Scotland's rural communities. Me and he are of the same thought. Farmers in areas such as Aberdeenshire and Moray want certainty for the future, and Humza Yousaf must give them the priority they deserve by announcing that the remaining 46 million will be returned as promised. The UK government is backing the Scottish farming with £620 million this year, recognising their critical importance to the country. So the UK government at Westminster is paying them, is supporting them. Every farmer in Scotland now is reliant upon Westminster. They can't rely on their own government. Because their own government doesn't even acknowledge they exist, doesn't understand them, doesn't know which part of the bull you get the milk from. And trust me, you don't want a milkshake with that one. Anyway, typical for the SNP. Time after time, he says they've made their own promises to our agricultural sector, but failed to deliver. Hamza Yousaf has the perfect chance next week to announce a full return of this funding, which will benefit our farmers, both north, east, and across the rest of Scotland. They won't ever see that money. He hasn't got it. Hamza Yousaf spent it on bollocks, hasn't he? Buying himself a new penis or something, because he hasn't got one. He's got a little plastic one he keeps in a box, just so it gives him something bumpy when he goes swimming. People don't look and say, oh, Kendall. That's where his money's going. It's certainly not going where it needs to be. Anyway, I'm coming up. So I do hope next week when he gets there and the farmers give him a very warm welcome. And make him be aware in no uncertain terms how important it is. And how it is quite unacceptable to steal, make promises, break those promises, and keep, the money that you've stolen and not repay it to where it's very much needed. If everyone in the countryside in Scotland, anyone further north really, as I say, than Falkirk, was made unemployed overnight, the whole country would collapse, literally, because they couldn't afford it. And yet that seems to be what he wants to do. He seems to think if he collapses Scottish rural life, everyone will leave and join the city and join in their little 15-minute ghettos, and then there'll be no one out in the countryside that they can't control. How dare you be out there away from our sight? Because they never venture there, do they? They've never been out of the city. Anyway, let's hope they do give him a very, as I say, a very warm, heartfelt welcome. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.